sit back in your seats, get something to eat, and watch this movie. Don't let the kiddies see it, because, well, we'll let you hear the beginning first. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Sunny,
I'm Rainy.
and this is Closet Chat.
Woo!
Hello, everybody. I hope y'all are having a good day.
Yeah.
How's your day been going? Or I guess, how has your week been going?
I mean, I want to go to bed, but you know what? It's fine.
It's not fine. It is never fine.
I mean, we're in this tiny closet, so.
Yep, we are still in this tiny closet. We are so cramped in here.
Yep.
All right, Rainy. So tell me, what are we doing for today's episode?
Alrighty. Sorry, gotta clear my throat real quick. So for this episode, I decided why not have us go down memory lane
Oh.
of our childhood. That was 20-ish years ago.
Oh. Oh, I hate that we came and say 20 years ago, ironically.
Anyway, I thought why not go down memory lane and talk about some childhood shows we watch.
Yeah.
Mostly cartoon shows.
Yeah, I do have a few in mind.
Yeah, I have a lot, but we are just gonna do 3 because oh, I'm so sorry. We ate before we did this. It's stuck in my throat. I don't know about you, but I know I have like a list and a half.
Yeah.
Of shows that I watched. I as a kid, so I think we're just gonna stick it to 3.
All right, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah, and pretty much we're gonna say what the show was called. We're gonna give some basic information like the air date and the end date, as well as hopefully play a little bit of some songs, the theme songs from each one, as soon as we don't get in trouble.
We can play a few seconds, right?
I think we can play at least 10 seconds.
I
I think we can afford playing at least 10 seconds.
I mean, honestly, guys, a lot of shows from the 2000s had absolute bangers.
They did.
Oh my god, I love them so much. All right, Rady.
Yeah.
Well, what is your first and most memorable show?
I have so many, but I think the first one I'm going to go with, and I think this is the one that I remember as very young, was The Fairly Odd Parents.
Okay, yeah, I remember watching that a lot as a kid on Nickelodeon, right?
Nickelodeon, yep. So this one was created by Butch Hartman, who...
He's an interesting lad.
He's a very interesting lad, and we're gonna just keep it there.
Keep our distance.
We're just gonna say he's an interesting guy, and we're gonna move on. And I will say I was surprised for how many seasons it had when I was researching this. It had 10 seasons.
See, I'm not too terribly surprised because, it was going for a long time. Oh, yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but is it still ongoing?
Mm-mm.
It isn't. Okay, so they actually finished it. Thank God.
Gumja, hi. Are you being huffy? Sorry, we have my stinky dog nephew, Gumja, with us.
Gumja means potato in Korean.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's being a little huffy right now. So, if you hear growling, that's him. That's him being huffy.
Extra ASMR.
I don't think they want that.
Okay. All right. So when was when did it first begin?
So it began on March 30th, 2001.
2001, what a great year.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually this month it will be, let's see, 2001, the 22nd anniversary.
Oh man, that show has been going on for a while.
Yeah. It did end on July 26th, 2017. So it ended almost 5 years ago.
Really? Yeah. For some reason I thought it was going longer than that.
No, they stopped airing new episodes in the 2007.
It must have been the spin-offs that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, which, oh my god, we'll get to those spin-offs when we get to it.
It's fun.
Yeah. Now it does its runtime averages around 23 minutes with 11-minute segments inside it. Like, so it's like
Mhm.
usually two little episodes in there for 11 minutes. So it usually was like 23 minutes each. Now they did have a few specials that were like an hour long or even 2 hours long.
Would they be considered as like movies in that case?
Some were movies, yes.
Yeah.
And there were some crossover. There was mostly one big crossover with another show, which is not on our list, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say, Jimmy Neutron.
That was such a whack episode.
There's 3 of them.
There was.
There
yeah.
was.
Oh my god. Oh, that was so fun.
And I was just like, this is fan fiction at its peak.
It is straight up.
So it's like, oh,
That's why I really liked it.
yeah. Yeah, so it was pretty much, runs for 10 seasons. The theme song, I have to say, the theme song for almost all these shows are the same. It has just the same name as the show. So here's the theme song's show. I don't know why I wrote theme show on my list. When I'm supposed to be theme song.
I love that. It's okay. It's okay, huh?
Okay. Anyway, it's called The Fairly Odd Parents, and it was created by Ron Jones, and Butch Hartman even helped as well with the lyrics.
From what I remember, the lyrics were pretty fun and simple.
Yeah.
And very creative.
Yeah.
Like, I know we're gonna get to the crossovers eventually, but from what I've heard, for the live action series they ended up making recently, they have the same theme song except different words.
Oh, I'm not gonna enjoy.
And basically, instead of like all these crazy wishes, it's like furniture. And very basic wishes. Of like, I want a nice couch.
You have beings that can grant your every wish, and you know what? No, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. Not going down that rabbit hole because I know if I do, I'm gonna get mad. Anyway, we're just gonna play like 10 seconds of the theme song.
Timmy is an average kid that no one understands.
I mean, I would assume you added it in.
Yeah, I probably added it in already. Ooh. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
What is the story?
So the story is about a 10-year-old boy named Timmy Turner. He it's pretty much how at first his life is pretty crappy. He has absentee parents, which always the best type of parents. Yeah. Abusive babysitter who should honestly be in jail.
Vicky.
Mm-hmm. Icky Vicky. He's on the bottom of the food chain in school. He has a teacher that, holy God, looking back on it, he needs a lot of help.
He should have been fired too.
Yeah. And one day, when he was being babysit by Vicky, he was throwing an 8-ball around in frustration because he wanted to be with his parents, not with Vicky. And at one point, he threw it to the wall so hard that it split open, and 2 fairies come out saying, "Hi, Timmy, I'm Cosmo, I'm Wanda, we're your fairy godparents." And every episode since then, it's just been the 3 of them for like the first few seasons going on adventures where Timmy's makes a wish, the wish happens, something chaotic happens with the wish, and Timmy has to undo the wish.
Mm-hmm. So it's pretty formulaic.
Pretty formulaic. Yeah. Up until at some point where they introduce Poof, which is Cosmo and Wanda's baby.
I think when they introduced Poof, that was like in a special episode, so it was quite long.
It was quite long, yeah.
I think it was like an hour.
It was, yeah.
I remember it. I remember the scene when they're trying to figure out the gender of Poof, and then there's like a trickle of water, and it's like, oh, it's a boy. And then the camera goes to Poof, and Poof is like holding like a water gun.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's a boy because boys love water guns.
Yeah, of course.
Honestly, I thought that was very funny.
Yeah. And it's even weird that Poof was said to be the first fairy baby born after so long.
Yeah, because that was against the like. So basically, in the story of the Fairly Odd Parents, there's the fairy world,
Yeah.
and they have a book
The
that
rule.
the rule book, yeah, that basically has all the rules established of what you can and cannot do for wishes. And if I remember correctly, having a baby was like one of the things like a fairy could not do.
Yeah, because it was because of Cosmo. He was actually the last baby born until Poof.
Oh, I didn't know about that lore.
Yeah. Supposedly it was Cosmo who was the last fairy baby after a long while,
Mhm.
just because he had caused so much chaos as a baby that they were just like, yeah, we're not having any more, no more fairy babies. We are all not doing that anymore.
It's kind of like an insane idea, though. It's like, yeah, this was once the norm to have children, but now we're just not doing it because of this one demonic child.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that happening, like, in our society. That'd be insane.
That would be very insane, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I guess we can't smash anymore.
Yeah, and very funny enough,
Also, I think Cosmo's the one who got pregnant.
yeah, I was gonna say Cosmo was the one that was pregnant, and I will say that that's probably the
Impreg.
Mpreg, the earliest Mpreg in any mainstream media.
I bet we could find it somewhere else. I bet
we could.
bet
but
there's some
that's-
weird stuff in the 2000s.
I know, but that was like the earliest I can remember because I was like, wait a minute, doesn't usually the mama get pregnant? Because you know, I was like roughly like before my adolescence years ended
Yeah.
to my teenage years, and I'm trying to think about that. That was before I found out about fan fiction.
See, I think for some reason it didn't really boggle me. I thought it was kind of funny and cool.
It was funny, but then after I saw it, it got me thinking. I was like, wait a minute.
I was like, wow, this is such a fun reversal. Like, it goes against expectations.
Yeah.
It makes sense that Cosmo is the one who gets pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of character, hey, guys. Wanda tops Cosmo.
I mean, of course. She's the brains.
I hate the fact that up all the way until I was 24, it's now that I have that moment of realization about a show I used to watch as a kid. Headcanon. Wanda tops, Cosmo's the bottom.
I don't think that's headcanon. I
It's
think
straight
that's
canon.
straight up canon.
I hate making these ideas. Right, it's like, oh no, I hate it. But yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, so that was pretty much the earliest cartoon show that I remember as a kid. I know that you have one that we both remember, but I'm going to say that for you.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it did kind of get me into kind of liking certain cartoons now.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know, I'm older and I like long-term stories, but it was still a pretty good story. The later seasons got crazier, and I was just like, oh yeah, that's pushing my.
Yeah, when they introduced the dog.
Yeah, I think at that point I was just like, yep, they've jumped shark.
Yeah, and then it's funny because I've heard that it was so unpopular by having the fairy dog that they literally just like took him out and ignored, like they never referenced him, they
Yeah.
never talk about him, they
Yeah.
just straight up ignored him.
Oh yeah, they did.
That's really funny.
And they replaced him with an even more annoying character.
Oh, is it the girl?
It's the girl
Oh.
who, I swear, like introducing to her, her life's fine. She's not miserable.
So why did she get fairies?
I don't know. I legit don't know.
So, like Rainey said, the whole establishment thing is that kids who end up getting like fairy
Very Odd Parents.
odd parents or fairy parents, whatever, they have to be miserable to fit the prerequisite in order to get that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's been a few other episodes, like I think I've told you this earlier, where when Timmy, like, if he wanted to lend his berries to one of his friends or somebody else, the person had to be twice as miserable as him. So
Yeah.
you mentioned it as well, but it was the Trixie?
No, Tootie.
Tootie. It was not Trixie, Tootie. It was the Tootie episode.
Well, it was her birthday, and she was having a really hard time. Her sister, Vicky. I'm dying. Sorry. Her older sister, who is Vicky, which, holy crap, that household must be hell.
It is. Even the parents are terrified of Vicky.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so, like, her little sister Tootie, she was just not having a good birthday. It was her birthday, and she was being miserable, and Timmy was just like, you know what? My life is good right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and lend her my fairies just for the day.
Mm-hmm.
So that way she can get any wish she wants for her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of slightly backfired, but overall he overall was like, you know what, I want someone to be happy. At least on their birthday.
And that's what I really liked about the main character, Timmy Turner.
Yeah.
I like the fact that for the most part in the good seasons, he was consistently like not like terrible.
Yeah.
Like he didn't become like selfish or annoying. He was pretty consistent in his character. I mean, I don't know if I'd say there was like character growth, but at least there was consistency.
There was consistency.
Yeah.
Like he would make a wish thinking that, oh, this would be the best wish, whether it's for himself or for someone else. And then as the wish continues, he's like, fuck, I messed up.
It's like kind of like a genie.
Yeah.
Except in this world they do have genies and
Oh yeah. But yeah, so that's the Fairy Odd Parents.
it's a good show.
It's
yeah.
a good show, yeah.
I'd recommend y'all to like watch the first couple seasons at least.
Yeah. I would say go to the watch until the dog fairy comes in.
Because Poof wasn't bad.
Poof wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It was stretching it a bit, but you know what? Poof wasn't bad. It was
Yeah.
when I think the dog's name was Sparky.
Yeah, it was.
It's when Sparky came, then it was just like, they jumped shark.
Yes. And then they introduced the second, the fairy godchild, the girl.
The girl?
Yeah.
I think her name was Chloe.
Yeah, it was Chloe. Yeah, that was,
yeah. We don't talk about that season.
Yeah. All right. So that was cool. I'd love to rewatch it someday.
Yeah.
So the show I'm going to introduce, I'm pretty sure a lot of people who grew up in the, I would say, late 90s and 2000s, such as us, would recognize it. It is the show Arthur.
Arthur.
Mm-hmm. So it's a animated educational, kind of like slice of life comedy drama, animated show. And it was targeted towards kids from like 48 years old, and it was developed by Kathy, I'm going to butcher her last name, Waugh, Waugh, for PBS. And basically, it revolves around the main character, Arthur Reed. And what's kind of cool about the show is that all of the characters, they're anthropomorphic. And I just discovered this today, but Arthur, the main character, and his family, they're aardvarks.
Sunny.
I know.
Sunny, everyone knew that they were aardvarks.
I didn't. In the show, they look like bears or something.
They do in the show.
However,
in the books,
yeah. So, the show itself is based off of these illustrated storybooks by Mark Brown. And in those stories, yes, he does 1000 look like an aardvark. He looks like a fucking anteater. Actually, I thought he was an anteater. Aardvarks look like them, don't they?
A little bit.
Yeah, so I thought he was an anteater. There's a bunch of there's a whole big range of characters for the cast, all pretty unique. There's Francine, Muffy, Arthur's best friend, Buster. There's the bully, I think his name is Buford.
I think so.
And the bully himself, all of these characters, they get their spotlights and they go through growth.
Yeah.
For example, the bully, he's not just a bully. He's actually kind of a sensitive guy.
Yeah, I think there was one time where, if I remember correctly, Arthur
Arthur?
off.
No, you're fine.
He ripped his pants after the bully did,
Mhm.
and instead of the bully making fun of him, the bully actually was like took two lunch
I
trays and
remember that.
covered up the front and the back of Arthur. I keep saying
Arthur. No, I used to do
Arthur.
the same thing.
Yeah, covered him up and like helped him get to the like nurse's office to get his
Yeah.
pants resewn. And he was like, "Yeah, I went through that, and that's not fun. I don't want you to go through that."
Honestly, yeah. Like,
And even then, I wouldn't even consider him as a bully. The prefect?
he's more of like he fits the archetype.
Yeah,
That's like what his character is meant to be. A lot of them are supposed to have like these archetypes. For example, Francine, she's supposed to be more of the tom girl who is like teases Arthur a lot. But she ends up, she does want to be feminine sometimes. She can have a
Yeah.
soft spot. She can be like pretty fun. Francine, she's the typical rich girl with all the privileges. However, she likes to use her resources for her friends. You give them makeovers, give them things. Like she can be a brat, but she cares a lot about her friends.
Yeah.
There's Buster. He's supposed to be kind of like, the idiot of the friend group.
The class clown.
The class clown. However, he sometimes can be the most logical, and sometimes he can be like have the most heart.
Yeah.
Then there's Brian.
The
He is
brain.
supposed to be the brain. Yeah. Just like a whole lot of characters. There's so many characters.
Oh, yeah.
There's even you even get to learn about the families of the characters. Like there's one character where her sister is into spiritualism, and she has like a ball, like a crystal ball. And I was gonna say, there's episodes similar to the one of Buford where it's like Francine, for example, she was making fun of a kid who had a nosebleed at school, like in the cafeteria.
Ooh.
And she was like playing with the ketchup packets, right, to make fun of him, to look like she was having a nosebleed. And then she ended up barfing.
I don't remember that episode.
I remember it, and she ended up barfing and getting really embarrassed. But then the other kid, who had the nosebleed, he ends up talking to her, and he's like, "Yeah, what you did really sucked, but I think he might have ended up helping her similarly to how Buford helped Arthur."
Yeah.
But there was a lot of cool episodes. There's Arthur becoming good friends with one of the other bully kids. There is a lot of episodes that focuses on darker themes. Not darker, but just more
Mature themes.
mature themes, yes. Because they do go over stuff let's see. So they do cover a lot of mature themes. For example, they go over themes of what different people have to deal with in their lives, like asthma, dyslexia, cancer. I think one of the earliest episodes was literally about one of the lunch ladies having cancer, and
Yeah,
she's
I remember
leaving the
that,
school. And they do stuff about diabetes, autism. I think one of the characters in the show is on the spectrum. I forget his name, but he's kind of like a reindeer.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
And he
about.
had a puppet or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a giraffe puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a fun character. I enjoyed him. I loved all the characters, honestly. And so it was really cool because I feel like a lot of shows these days are very sanitized for kids. And shows back then, for example, Arthur, I feel like it really does teach a lot.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these kids, a lot of kids, including myself, we don't grow up learning how to deal with emotions or even understand these themes. I personally, I didn't understand the idea of death and cancer and stuff like that. And it's really cool because at the end of each episode, or maybe in between, I forget exactly how they did it, but I think it's the end. They would do these segments where they would be filming at different elementary schools and doing activities based off of the theme of the episode, and they would have the kids talk, and it was really cool. And there was also a spin-off series called, let's see, Postcards from Buster.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I think there was also a segment, wasn't it?
At one point it was, and then it became its own show.
Yeah, so it originally was a segment similar to the other one, and basically it would be Buster. I think he could travel with his dad,
Mm-hmm.
and he would talk about all these like different countries. So that's where you get like more of the cultural aspect.
Yeah, like I think that was like probably like one of the first shows that was like, hey, especially to kids who are in North America, like, hey, look at all these countries from outside of North America. Like we have
Mhm.
countries in Asia, in Europe, in Africa, in South America.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like,
no, it was really cool.
and it was like pretty much showing you like, hey, the world is a lot bigger than you think,
Yes.
and let's go explore. And I'm like, oh, that was so beautiful.
Yes, and that's what I loved about the show because
Yeah.
within the world of Arthur, everything felt so like real.
Yeah.
Everything felt very lively. Also, so let me give you some really quick background information just because I feel like I kind of went a lot. So to be pretty short, Arthur is about the main character, Arthur Reed. He is just going, through different misadventures through school, personal life. It'll follow different characters, whether it is in his family, like his little sister DW, or even his parents, friends, stuff like that. Um, it was first created in October 7th, 1996, and it ran all the way till February 21st of 2022. So
Okay.
it just ended very recently.
Actually, yeah, a year ago, actually.
Yeah. And this show was really cool because it was very inclusive. They even had an episode where one of the main characters,
The teacher.
he got married and he was like gay.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And it was originated in the US and Canada. It had 25 seasons with 253 episodes and 493 segments. And it typically ran to like around 26 minutes. And it was the second longest running children's animated series in the US and the longest running oh no, it was the first longest running children's animated series in the US. And it was the second running for animated series in general behind The Simpsons.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say. And let's see. And it had an awesome theme song called Believe in Yourself,
Which we'll be playing now.
which was written by Oops, I didn't do this.
You didn't do it?
I didn't do it. It was composed by Ray Fabi.
Ray Fabio, okay. Well then, here is the 10 seconds of at least part of the song.
Yeah.
I will say from coming from author, I keep mispronouncing.
No, I used to do the same thing. I'd always call it author. My dad would make fun of me. He's like, no, it's Arthur. And I'm like,
Arthur. Okay, Arthur. I will say from this show, there's been a lot of memes, a lot of
the Arthur's Fist. That's a
Fist?
very popular meme.
yeah, the DW being like, I can't read this.
Just because I can't read this doesn't mean I'm not gonna like do it or something like that.
Yeah. And then of course, that's the cute, wholesome side. We get to the creepy side, which is like a lot of creepypasta, and it was just like,
Really?
yeah, there was a lot of creepypasta about the show.
I've never read or seen any of the creepypastas.
You need to go down that rabbit hole.
Oh Jesus!
You need
guess
to go
that's
down
an
that rabbit
episode
hole.
idea.
Yeah, you need to go down that rabbit hole. But yeah.
Oh, also fun fact. It does take place in a fictional U.S. city of Elwood City, which is actually based off of Boston.
Oh, that's cute.
So yeah, it's a really fun show. I recommend watching it honestly because I think it's great for kids and families.
Yeah. Oh, so cute.
What's your next one?
Okay, so it's another show made by Butch Hartman. Danny Phantom. And oh my god. This is pretty much what got me into making action stories. Well, one of the few shows that got me into making action stories.
Really?
Yeah.
What about it? Well, I guess before you tell me that, I was going to say, what about it inspired you? However, I think we need to know more about the show beforehand.
So the show is about I'm going to start from the beginning. The show is about a 14-year-old high schooler named Danny Fenton, who accidentally gets powers because his parents, who are two ghost hunters, created a portal, didn't set it up correctly, and he got powers from that portal when he was trying to fix it. So he kind of, in a way, kind of died.
Oh, I've seen a lot of like dark comics about that.
Yeah. So, well, it's like up in the air. We don't know if he actually did die briefly and get his powers, or he was just infused.
My
But
headcanon is that he did.
I also think that he
Yeah.
slightly died of it. But yeah, so he got powers from it, and he is pretty much. It's kind of like, at one hand, it's like monster of the week kind of story, but there are times where it will become there's like an overarching story going on in certain times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much he's a superhero. Like, he was one of the first few superheroes that was outside of DC and Marvel.
Yeah, and basically the monster of the week would be like other ghosts.
Other
right?
ghosts, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there was a pop star or rock star ghost
I
who.
was so gay for her as a kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Which there are theories that based on what her song
Mhm.
that she died in a house fire.
Mm.
There is a ghost hunter who is, I swear, was hilarious because it was just literally a tiny ghost in a suit of metal, which I was like, oh, that's hilarious.
There's like that one ghost that would like age, like de-age and age.
Yes.
Like basically he was almost like stuck in like different times.
Yeah,
of
it's
his
Clockwork.
life. Yeah.
I believe that's how his name was pronounced. But he was a neutral ghost. He was like, I'm not gonna help you, but I'm not gonna fight you. There was one episode I will say really did awaken something.
Mm.
It was Urban Jungle. This was when Sam was taking control from a plant ghost, and she became basically his kind of in commander. And I will say the outfit she was wearing.
What's this called?
Urban Jungle. Hold on, I can.
This was a game.
No, it was an episode.
This was also a game for the DS.
Oh, that's right, it was.
That's insane. I forgot about like. Oh, I see. Oh, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah. If the Rockstar Ghost didn't awaken something, this kind of did.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. It was one of my favorite episodes. But yeah, so that's basically a quick summary of it. It was honestly a really good show. Like, this was probably the best show Nickelodeon has probably put out.
I would definitely agree with that because it's like what made it really unique is exactly like you said about the overarching like stories because like a lot of episodes, especially for like that are more oriented towards like children. I would say this one is more towards like children and tweens.
Yeah, this was like 7 to 15-year-olds.
Yeah, so I would say a lot of shows typically do the they would have the whole episode and then the next one everybody forgets about everything. They kind of do the whole do-over.
Yeah, but not this show. This show was like, they do have Monster of the Week, but they learn from it. Like, they're like, okay, this defeated this ghost once, so let's do it again. If it doesn't, we're gonna do another way.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to like other shows in the same vein, like Ben 10, for example, where a lot of stuff happens.
Oh my god, I forgot about Ben 10 for a second. Oh no.
Honestly,
oh no.
me too. I used to be pretty into it as a kid for the first series at least. I didn't watch the other ones when they were like older and stuff.
I actually got stuck in the Ben 10 hole for
I can imagine.
For up until the reboot.
Yeah.
So I've been stuck in there. It's fun down there. Anyway, back to Danny Phantom. Yeah, like, it was a really good show, and I'm just kind of disappointed because it only ended 3 seasons.
That's pretty short.
Yeah, it had 53 episodes, which was like
so
23 minutes each. Yeah, and with a few specials that were like an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like, this show has so much potential, and this could have been like. This could have run as long as, probably not as long as Fairy Odd Parents, but probably just like half.
Maybe like 5 seasons.
probably like up to 5 seasons. Now I don't know exactly why it got canceled. I don't know if it was because of ratings or because there was complaints, because it started at April 3rd, 2004 and ended on August 24th, 2007.
Oh, so it only ran for a couple of years as
It's
well.
only run in 3 years, yeah. And I was just
Oh.
like, there's so much potential with this show that could keep going. Now Butch Hartman did leave Nickelodeon, and now he does not own Danny Phantom.
Mm-hmm.
Nickelodeon owns the IP, so
Mm.
Nickelodeon can do something with that IP.
I don't trust them
What, Nickelodeon?
to do like any new stuff with Danny Phantom.
Probably not, but I'm just like, they did recently had some they had a game crossover collab where they did have Danny Phantom on the roster, but that was probably the latest I've seen of him.
Oh, also, what I do remember about the show, which is very funny for Butch Hartman, but something consistent with his shows is that a lot of his main characters end up low-key, like a lot of people take them as being trans.
Yes. Even when the show was going, no, I think a few years after the show ended, I was starting to see about whole Danny Phantom being trans, and I was like, huh.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to really think about it. I'm like, there are moments where, it shows like something like, like when he's like in his swimsuit attire, he's wearing a tank top instead of like, having like every other male character having like no tank top on. And I'm just like, huh.
Mm-hmm.
And like, and then of course there are times where it's like he tries to really say that, yeah, I'm a guy. In a
He's
way.
really trying to like get into that masculinity. Wasn't
Masculinity.
there also the whole like female like Danny Phantom?
Yeah, Danny with an I.
Yeah.
And like, there you could also go with for her different other routes as to why she was female, but like I think it does make sense that the Danny Phantom, the main character, he was once female before transitioning to male, which I'm just like, oh yeah, that probably would make sense story wise.
Yeah, it's also for I was gonna mention for Fairly Odd Parents. There was an entire episode where basically it was implied that his parents were like, yeah, we're gonna have a little girl instead of Timmy, and that's why all of his clothes and items are pink.
Yeah, there was even one episode where Timmy. We're going back to Fairly Odd Parents.
Basically, I think I know what you're talking about.
Where he was put in the girl situation, and when he saw the mirror, he looked like he was freaking out. Like he was like, oh no, like he was like having a mental breakdown at first.
There's a whole theory that he wished he was a boy, and Cosmo erased his memory and like did it and erased everybody's memories as well. No, it was because Cosmo was freaking out.
Yes,
not Timmy. Timmy was actually
they both were freaking out because they realized, oh shoot, because like Wanda was the one that made Timmy into a girl just to see how it is.
Yeah, she was, because he was acting like a douchebag, and she's like, well, if you were a girl, you'd understand better. And then so she turned him into a girl. Cosmo was like, no. And yeah, there's like a lot of like instances like that.
Yeah, so like,
which is very ironic considering it's a Butch Hartman show.
Yeah, but like, yeah. I mean, yeah, but I do like those theories that like Danny and Timmy, they're trans males, which is like, oh, that's really cool. Like I know he didn't meant it, but I mean,
he accidentally does it for like every show he makes.
Yeah, and it was like it's still really good. I like that.
I like being able to have that like headcanon.
Yeah,
there's definitely a lot of relatability within that. So
yeah. And then before we get to the next show intro, the theme song that it again, like Very Odd Parents, it's called Danny Phantom, and it was created by Guy Moon, and of course Butch Hartman helped with the lyrics. So here it is.
Such a cool theme song.
Yes, I
just played it in my head.
I swear, I will be singing it.
Like, right.
Oh,
is there anything else you'd like to say about it?
Nickelodeon, I know you're not making any more shows of Danny Phantom, but can you give us a little more content? Like, just, I don't know.
It'd be cool if there was a comic.
It would be great. Comic, book, something.
Comic book would be a great potential for that show.
Yeah.
All right. So, the next one in my list is a pretty popular show, which I'm
Sure.
sure. Yeah, author.
Shut up.
And I was being so kind about it. So, the next one on my list is one that a lot of people will recognize. Hey, shut the. A lot of people will recognize, and a lot of people have probably grown up with it. It is called SpongeBob SquarePants. And I've never said that title so aggressively in my life. This is another show from Nickelodeon. It is an animated comedy. It was created by marine science educator and animator Steven Hillenburg.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. He was also the voice actor for SpongeBob. And this is actually one of the longest running series as well. It's the 5th longest with 13 seasons, 281 episodes. However, normal episodes would run for like 11 minutes, while specials would go between 22 to 44 minutes. And if I remember correctly, there is a movie. I like to ignore everything else after the movie because for Hillenburg, that was his intention ending for the series. And afterwards, I guess it was like out of his control.
Yeah.
So, SpongeBob was first pitched as a comic book called The Intertidal Zone, which was unpublished. It was created in 1989. It was later then pitched as a 7-minute pilot in 1996 and 1997. Originally, SpongeBob was going to be a child in school, but Hillenburg, he wanted him to be an adult, and he was actually about to abandon the project until there was a compromise of creating Mrs. Puff to have SpongeBob still go to school for boating school because he wants SpongeBob to be an adult.
Oh yeah, driving school.
Yes, so that's pretty fun. Geez, there's a lot of like good episodes. Let's see. Yeah, basically, SpongeBob this is in the setting of Bikini Bottom, which is a real life place in the ocean.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of cool, slightly like educational bits since the creator was like a marine biologist. And basically, SpongeBob, he works at a restaurant called
The Krabby Patty.
Is it called the Krabby Patty? That's what the food is called.
All right.
Give me a moment.
Hmm?
Yeah, so SpongeBob lives as a sea sponge that lives in a submerged pineapple, and he's a fry cook at the Krusty Krab.
Krusty Krab.
The food itself is Krabby Patties. Yes, which is one of the best foods in this the world, I guess.
Look, it's been a while since I've watched SpongeBob. Okay.
It's okay. I grew up with it more. One of his life's greatest goals is to obtain a boat driving license from Mrs. Puff's boating school, but he never succeeds. His favorite pastimes includes jellyfishing, which he likes to do with his best friend Patrick. And he also has a pet sea snail called Carrie. He meows like a cat. And then there's the other infamous character, Squidward.
Squidward, yeah.
And let me tell you, there's a lot of fun memes from SpongeBob.
And creepypasta, too.
And creepypasta, yeah. I'm a little bit more familiar with that. There's the one where, Squidward died.
Yeah.
Yeah. Squidward is the grumpy neighbor who plays the clarinet and is very artsy-fartsy, and he just fucking hates SpongeBob. Also, a lot of people ship Squidward and SpongeBob. A lot of people also ship Plankton and Mr. Krabs.
I kind of shipped that one.
Yeah.
And Mr. Lovers.
And so Plankton, he's like the villain. He's the main antagonist of the show. He's usually trying to steal the Krabby Patty formula for his own restaurant.
He's itty bitty.
He's itty bitty. And so there's a lot of other characters like Sandy the squirrel
from our home state.
Good old Texas.
Woo!
A lot of iconic episodes.
The marching
band that had a banger of a song.
which is so iconic.
It is very iconic. There's the episode where Patrick and SpongeBob are at Sandy's house and she's hibernating. Or they're doing the Dirty Dan and Pinhead. There's the episode where SpongeBob is dying in Sandy's house because he doesn't have water.
I need it.
I need it.
I swear, I want to make little videos with those moments. I love those moments.
Yeah, and then the movie, of course, which, as I mentioned prior, I like to ignore everything afterwards, is actually a really good film.
Yeah.
Like, it is really good on its own because, like, it has a lot of different themes. There's a peak in it where, like, between Patrick and SpongeBob, like, it is very emotional. Like, it actually made me tear up. It honestly made me cry.
We gotta watch it now.
It was a really good show and a really great movie. So, as I had mentioned, it did come out. Alright, so it did originally come out in May 1st, 1999, and is still ongoing. Unfortunately, there has been a huge decline in the show's quality. Not in terms of animation necessarily, but in just in terms of story because it's ongoing and it's, the humor that they think kids find funny is not really
No.
funny.
It also doesn't help that the creator did pass away not too long ago.
Yeah.
And they really were like, let's make it to what, like, the studios were like, let's make it to what we think is funny instead of, like, letting him create the story. And, like, honestly, they did do a spin-off where they're kids at a camp, if I remember correctly.
Wasn't that a movie?
No, I think that's a show.
Wait, seriously? I thought that was a movie.
I honestly don't know, but I know they did a spin-off where it was, like, the main cast is, like, mostly kids minus Mr. Krabs.
I'm pretty positive that's a movie that they made. It was, like, 3D animated.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a movie.
Oh, that was a movie?
Yeah, and I think it was also related to, like, SpongeBob and Gary's relationship.
Oh. Hold on. I'm going to look it up on my Paramount Plus. Alright.
Oh, wait, no, you're correct. It is a series.
Yeah, here it is. Camp Coral.
Yeah, it premiered on Paramount Plus on March 4th, 2021.
Yeah. And which is funny because it does retcon a lot of moments in the main show. Like, for example, Sandy is in there, and it's like, wait a minute, didn't they meet Sandy when they were, like, adults?
Yeah.
So that doesn't make sense. By the way, there's also a musical.
Oh, the musical is phenomenal. Right. Oh my god, I almost forgot about that.
I'm going to put that on my list, and I'm going to...
I would highly recommend y'all to check out the musical because it is pretty top tier.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's really all I have to say about it. SpongeBob, the first couple of seasons were pretty good. I really enjoyed it. One of my favorite episodes as a kid was when SpongeBob was trying to give Gary a bath.
Was he was like trying to throw him in the tub?
Yeah, he was trying to throw him into the tub.
And Gary just keeps appearing in the
other
section. Yeah.
Yeah, I had that on I had like a DVD with like the season, so I had like a few episodes and that was my most watched. I loved it so much. It made me laugh.
Yeah.
It was a riot. So yeah, first couple of seasons were pretty great. I like the characters, like it's pretty formulaic in terms of like episodes and there wasn't like a lot of like growth or arcs or story, but it was pretty fun.
Yeah. And now theme song.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you!
Aye, aye!
So good.
Yeah. So many childhood memories. Almost wanted to sing.
It is definitely one of the most iconic like theme shows.
Theme show.
Oh, you're rubbing off on me. That's your fault. Whatever. Okay.
I get to drag you back into this hole that I created for myself. Okay. All right. So now we're in the last two shows. For my pick, I will have to say, and this is going to unlock a lot of memories for a lot of millennials and older Gen Z kids. Avatar: The Last Airbender.
top tier.
Yeah, I would love to have the song come in. I'd love to have the theme song play right now.
Thing changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar, master of all 4 elements, could stop.
Wow.
So epic.
Another banger.
Yeah, and it
Ooh.
actually has a name.
For the theme song?
The theme song has a name, which I didn't know until researching it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's called I See You by James Horner and Q Harris.
Interesting. I mean, it's less of a theme song and
It's
more
more
of like,
instrumental.
yeah, it's more of like an introduction,
Yeah.
giving the basic like premise of the show, and then like starting off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it like goes into the instrumental.
Which is like really great because this one is like the theme song is like if you miss the first episode, which is like an hour long,
Mm-hmm.
this intro is like telling you, hey, this is what happened. Let's get into the story.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's really good. But anyway, so Avatar: The Last Airbender was created by Michael Dante Di Martino and Brian, oh god, Konietzko. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced those names. Yeah.
Where is it?
This one, so this is Brian
Konietzko?
So sorry if I mispronounced those names. As you can already tell, I don't speak well.
Honestly,
I don't speak English well.
English is our first language.
Yeah, very funny enough. All right, so this show, I will say this was the show that pretty much opened the gateway for anime for me because if you guys don't know, Avatar: The Last Airbender has a very anime feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely influence.
Yeah, and a lot of people have even thought that this is an anime show.
I mean, technically, yeah, it's a Western anime.
Western anime, like not like a Japanese anime show. But a lot of people are like, no, this was made in the United States, and a lot of people are like, it has such an anime like the usual anime feel.
I mean, it is inspired by a lot of like East culture.
East culture, yeah.
So,
which is like a lot of like the each nation has its own culture that's based off.
mm-hmm.
Like, for example, the Fire Nation, of course, is like almost heavily based off of like a lot of empires made in like Asia.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember on the top of my head which empire, but I know it was based off a lot of empires.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this show, it was very beautiful. It had so many mature topics that even today is still prevalent. Like it talks about war, like how civilians who are not participating in this war are affected. It talks about loss, like
definitely a lot
of loss.
Hey, so
Yes.
to answer that question between what the nations like were based off of.
Yes.
So the Water Tribe was inspired by indigenous Arctic cultures like the Inuits and Yupiks.
Mm-hmm.
The Earth Kingdom, China, and then Fire Nation was Imperial Japan, and the air nomads were Tibetan Buddhist.
Yes, that's what I sorry, I couldn't remember those at the tip of my tongue. But yes. Those are what the each nation was based off of. But yeah, like this show was so good.
It was really good. And like as Rainey was saying, there's a lot of like mature topics. A lot to do about loss. Oh my god.
Yeah. And like what was even amazing, because I don't think I saw any show prior to Avatar that did this. Or any shows that did this, and I don't remember them. They had a character who was a disabled character because her name is Toph and she was blind.
Yeah.
Like she couldn't see anything, and the only way she could see through the world was through earthbending. So pretty much, and it was always a gag. And like it wasn't to make fun of it. It was just it wasn't to make fun of her. It was to make fun of other characters to keep forgetting that she's blind.
Yeah.
It's always being like, hey, she can't see, like she can't read, she can't, she doesn't know what everyone looks like, because she depends so much on earthbending. She can only see through vibrations, and it was still very beautifully executed because it was saying that she's blind. That doesn't mean she's helpless.
Yeah, and it's like her character is really cool because she was like a princess.
She was a. I think she wasn't a
Or a
princess.
noble?
She was a noble.
Yeah, she was like a noble daughter of this like big family, and so she had like a lot of expectations, but she ends up like joining like a wrestling like underground wrestling tournament.
I don't think it was because she had a lot of expectations. It was just more of that they kept her hidden from the
They
world.
did the whole birdcage thing.
They
with
did the whole
her.
birdcage thing, like to the point where they tried to pretend like, unless like you really knew them, they were like almost pretending like they didn't have a daughter
Yeah.
because they were like, I think maybe, and I'm not saying excusing this behavior, but I'm saying probably in their minds they're like, it's our fault that she was born blind, even though
Yeah.
that's something that's out of their control.
And she learned earthbending through
Badger moles.
Yeah, which is really cool. And also, she's probably one of the most like the strongest characters
She
in the
is.
show.
Yeah, she is. Like she created metal bending.
Mm-hmm.
And like that laid the gateway to so many types of like
She literally invented it. Yeah,
she
I
invented it.
know.
And like it had the gateway of both us, the audience, and the characters in the show being like, oh my god, there's not just 4 bendings, there's multiple types of bendings.
Mm-hmm.
We just gotta find like our part of our bending in these things.
Yeah, it's about like experimenting and just like learning new techniques. And that's what I really liked about her is that she really she pushed herself to do different things and to be creative. And that's what I liked about like a lot of the characters. They were all like creative in their own way. Even Sokka.
Even Sokka. He is the non-bending version of the Avatar. Because he learned all 4 nations fighting styles that are without bending. And it's just like if that was him as the if there was a non-bender Avatar version, he would pretty much make peace with everybody.
Yeah, because he's also very more of like social and diplomatic. He's the strategic one, but he's also more of like the comedy relief initially, and he continues to be that way. However, he is like the brains of the operation as well.
Oh yeah.
Which I really like about him. And later on, he ends up being like a bit of a swords master, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
So each of these characters have all these opportunities for growth, and that's what I fucking love because they actually do change through time.
And they did such, and I think this was one of the earliest shows in 2000s that did a villain redemption arc so well that even to this day everyone always points this redemption arc and say that if you can't do this redemption arc at least as close as this one, you're not doing it right. And it's like Prince Zuko of the Fire Nation, which he was like a banished prince who was tasked to find the Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he quote unquote killed the Avatar, he was able to come back to the kingdom. But then he was like, no, something's wrong with this. I'm going to go fight with the Avatar.
Yeah, he basically realizes that the system is very bad.
Yeah, and I'm oversimplifying it.
Yeah.
But like seeing the journey of this character, it's so beautiful because you get to see the struggles that he has, both external and internal.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of the obstacles that he had to deal with, not only growing up, but also during the show. And it's like, holy crap.
They all go through things, and there's like all of the effects they go through are like
Lasting.
And that's what I really appreciate. Like, not just like the characters themselves, but the relationships too. They're very unique. For example, like between Toph and the other main character, Katara.
Katara, yeah.
They started off very antagonist towards each other. And, there's a few episodes focused on them, on like building their relationship. And actually, they start to build trust with one another. And it lasts throughout the show. Like, yeah, they still like, kind of get on each other's asses, but like, they do become friends. They become like a family unit, and that's what I really like because there's a big sense of like found family.
Oh yeah, and then like Katara's story, like
Katara is cool. Like she learns like spoiler alert, but she fucking learns like bloodbending.
Yeah, and like she actually, I think in the spinoff, she was the one that encouraged Aang to be like, let's ban it because it is too dangerous.
Yeah.
Which it's very dangerous when you look at it. And like
incredibly so. They literally Like there's a basically in the show, there's an episode. There's an old woman
Oh yeah.
who was forced to learn blood bending basically for her own survival.
It wasn't that she was forced. It was more of like she did it out of revenge.
Well, yeah, but she also was like trapped,
She
wasn't
was-
she?
she was
So
a prisoner,
she
yes.
did have to learn it for her own survival, though, and she did like take it too far by just murdering everybody,
Yeah.
which revenge, like.
Yeah, and then she continued doing it even after she got free,
Mm-hmm.
which is like these people, like especially the village that she was next to, like these people
Mhm.
didn't do anything to her.
Yeah.
She only does that to them because they're associated with the Fire Nation.
And that's the other thing that I liked about the show, because on one end of the spectrum, you get a lot of like redemption of like characters like Zuko, but on the other end, you get people who are not redeemable, and they're evil for the sake of being evil, regardless of what their backstory is. Like, yeah, they could have gone from good to bad or bad to bad, but at the end of the day, there are still complex like villains. And it's not to excuse their actions, it's just to explain it. It's not to justify.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like about like these characters. They're still like not like, they're not one dimensional.
They're not one dimensional. They're like there's so many layers to them
Mm-hmm.
and so many sides. Like, and oh my god, like I will say they did explore more about these characters' stories in comic books and even novels,
Yeah.
which is like that is amazing because they go into like Zuko finding his mom who
Mm.
disappeared when he was young, and Azula, his younger sister. Oof,
Doesn't she go through like a lot of character growth or something? No?
no, she goes into a deterioration.
In the comics?
In the comics, she goes way, way down.
Okay. 'Cause
As
I
in-
thought, was she ever redeemed? Or
She was not redeemed. It's just she went much further into the dark. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely saw that in the show as well. Like her deterioration is like mentally.
Yeah, and like, oh my god, there's so many good essays about show in general, especially Azula, how her childhood pretty much shaped her to who she was.
Most definitely. I mean, she definitely has a lot of trauma.
She has a lot of trauma
So,
and a lot of anger.
mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I could gush on about.
Yeah, it's just cool to see two people who came from the same environment turning out differently at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, Avatar is really cool. Don't watch the live action. Just
We
watch
don't
the
talk about it.
cartoon.
We don't talk about
read
live
the
action.
comics.
I will say Legend of Korra, a little iffy. I will say give it a try though. It tries its best to tell its story, continuing from Avatar: The Last Airbender. It does have a few hiccups, but once you get over those hiccups, it's actually a pretty good story.
I hear it gets better towards the end.
I haven't been able to watch the end actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had to stop after technically book 2.
I see.
Yeah, but yeah, that's Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, also, each book is based off of
Oh.
a nation, right?
A s-
Or elements.
Elements. So
Yeah.
there's water, earth, and fire. There was never any air.
Yeah, which makes sense because Aang starts off with air because he's
Yeah.
an air nomad. That
nomad.
he's like one of the last ones
Yeah.
because this is like takes place 100 years
Oh, yeah.
after the Avatar like vanished.
Yeah.
Because the Avatar, like you've mentioned, is able to control all the elements.
And the Avatar also reincarnates into a new person in a different nation
Mhm.
every time. So it's like kind of like the change of seasons in a way.
Yeah, it's a change of seasons and the continuation of a cycle. So
Yeah.
it's really cool. It's a lot of brilliant themes, visually amazing. The music is amazing. All
There-
the characters, amazing.
there's
Honestly,
much-
top tier.
Especially one song.
God damn it.
I'm sorry. If I found it on TikTok. I got reminded by TikTok. If I have to go through that, all of you have to go through that.
Uncle Ira. Going on.
Less.
All right, so the last show for our list. All right, this is probably not going to be as like mainstream, I suppose. So I'm going to be focusing on the show Chowder,
Yeah.
which was on from Cartoon Network, and it ran from November 2nd, 2007 to August 7th, 2010. So it also only ran for like a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty good show. It's actually C.H. Greenblatt. He is the creator of the show, and he actually worked on a lot of like other shows that were also like from Nickelodeon. I think he worked on like SpongeBob, The Grim Adventure of Billy and Mandy.
There was one show that I think he especially had worked on. It was called The Misadventures of Flapjack.
Yeah, that one too, definitely.
Yeah.
They have very, very similar vibes, except
Oh, yeah.
that one is a lot more darker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's an adventure fantasy and also a surreal comedy, which is one of my favorite aspects of the show, is just how surreal it gets. It oftentimes will like break the fourth wall in some way, whether it is literally through the animation, through the characters, like
The voice actors.
the voice actors. At one point in the episode, like the kitchen was like burning down. They're like, "Oh, we're not going to lose business this way." And as they're like complaining, you see the animation getting simplified. It's like, "Oh my god, our budget is getting smaller because we're losing money." And eventually, you see like the voice actors in real life, like in a recording studio, complaining, and they're like, "Well, god damn it, now we have to like get money."
And they just did a car. I think they did a car
Yeah,
wash.
yeah.
And it's like,
They're doing the car wash, and one of the voice actors, she plays the like old lady
The
who is the
wife.
wife of
Truffles.
yeah, Truffles. She's the wife
Yeah.
of. Give me a moment. Mungdal,
Mungdal.
and she's like like a granny in the show, but in the like when you see her voice actor, she's like in a very attractive like blonde woman.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god.
I just thought that was very funny.
Yeah, I love that too. I will say, before you you say any information, my favorite character is definitely Snitzel.
Snitchel?
Yes.
Snitzel?
Yes.
Snitzel. Yeah, Snitchel.
Rada Rada.
Rada. So that's the cool thing about the character. So basically the basic premise of the show. So it follows an aspiring young boy named Chowder, who's like a weird like bear cat creature.
Bear cat rabbit, I believe.
Or raccoon. No, rabbit. I think it is rabbit.
So bear cat rabbit.
So it is kind of like a mixture of like anthropomorphic. However, there are a lot of characters that are like based off of like literal items. For example, Snitchel, he's like a mixture of like some rock and a creature.
Yeah.
And like Truffle, she's like straight up like mushroom fairy lady. So it's very surreal, like not just from like the humor, but also like the story itself. It's kind of like an example like Gumball or the regular show or some other shows where it's very like surreal.
Yeah.
Or even like BoJack Horseman.
Yeah.
So
and the animation was actually kind of funny because
no, the animation was cool.
I know that's what I meant. Funny for me is because every time the characters move, instead of the patterns being
Mhm.
set, it's following them. It's
Yes.
changing. It's like it messes with my mind for every now and then because it's like, wait a minute, what?
No, it was not the pattern that would move. The pattern would be stagnant, but the characters would move.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Like, that's what I meant to say. Like, as they're moving, the patterns are like changing in a way. You know what I mean?
Technically, they're changing.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I used to like be confused over that too, but now as an artist, I'm like, I understand how they do it.
Yeah.
So Chowder, he works as an apprentice in Chef Mungdal's catering company. Although he means well, Chowder often finds himself in predicaments due to his perpetual appetite and his nature as a scatterbrain. Chowder's guidance in his goal to become a master chef is influenced by Mungdal's wife, Truffles, Mungdal's assistant, Snitchel, Mung's rival, Endive, and Endive's apprentice, who has a perpetual crush on Chowder, Panini, as well as other side characters. So I got that from the Wikipedia. Yeah, it's a pretty good show. It had a really fun opening. Here we go.
You take the moon and you take...
It only ran for 3 seasons. It has 49 episodes with 93 segments. And the runtime would usually run for like 22 minutes, which is kind of like the more like typical runtime shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. Oh wow. So it got mostly positive reviews as well as 1 Primetime Emmy Award.
Ooh.
6 Annie Award nominations and 2 additional Emmy Award nominations during its run. So the series finale, Chowder Grows Up, aired on August 7th, 2010.
Oh, I need to hear what you have to say.
So it actually wrapped up.
Mhm.
Joke's on you. I never saw the last episode. I saw most of them except for the last episode.
I did see the last episode, and I have
Really?
to say,
From what I've heard, it's kind of insane.
it is insane.
Spoiler alert, yes.
And I won't lie. If that was aired today,
There would be problematic.
it'd have a lot of pitchforks. So basically, what happens is like Chowder, he
Once again, spoiler alert.
spoiler alerts. Chowder, he at the beginning of the episode, he's like saying, "I don't want to grow up," and he starts singing the song, and apparently he's been singing it for who knows how long, and he's finally adult. Like I want to say he's at least 26, like my
Like
age.
a young adult.
like
Yeah.
mid adult, and like Mung Dol is like, "Yeah, you've been singing that song like crazy, and we have to retire." And like he starts saying, "Yeah, like Schnitzel, he marries Endeavor." No, it's not Endeavor.
No, isn't it her?
It's her.
Yeah,
I'm
and
trying to-
dive?
Endive, not Endeavor.
Yeah, I forgot they had like a whole romance and it was really weird.
It was her. And but like he does marry her, and it's just like, what the heck? The last time you two interacted, you were trying to run away from her. So it's like, but he was like being like all bad, like, yeah, rada.
So yeah, they end up getting married. So Chowder is an adult.
Yeah.
Doesn't he like get with Panini or something like that?
Not yet. But
Or rather, Panini gets with him forcefully.
No, not yet. He sees his friends, like his friend that likes to pick on him, the one with the candle. I don't remember his
The
name.
rat boy.
The rat boy with the
Yeah.
candle. He's like being like, I achieved all this, and he's getting his apprentice to dress up like him and it's like and make fun of him, and it's like it's not fulfilling for him because it's not the same like with Chowder.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Panini. She is she's gone off the deep end. So pretty much because Chowder refused to grow up, she decided to make she decided to become a little crazy. Like she pretends her apprentice is a baby.
Oh yeah, her. Okay, so for Panini, like I said, she's the one who has a crush on Chowder, and the whole gag is Chowder is like, "I'm not your boyfriend."
Yeah, and like her apprentice is like, I don't get paid enough for this because like Panini's forcing her apprentice to dress up as a baby to have the child that her and Chowder should have had, which that was a little disturbing for me.
Oh my god, in the Wikipedia, it literally says, in the last episode, it is shown that Chowder finally returns Panini's feelings and accepted her because he realizes that he made Panini's life miserable.
Wait,
he's like, yeah, the only reason he married her is because he realized he made her life miserable.
Oh yeah. That was just like, oh. And like that ending, I was just like, and skipping forward, the ending, I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah, it would be very problematic today. However, I think it was done on purpose.
Yeah.
Because, like, it is still pretty surreal.
Yeah.
In its ending. Like, it just leaves you, like, flabbergasted.
It even is so funny when the Chowder that we all know comes in the scene and is like, no! I refuse this ending! Like, he's like, no, we're not doing this ending. Because he has to marry, he's gonna marry Panini. And it's just like, he's just like, no, I refuse this ending. And Panini comes on and says like, but Chowder, look at our babies. And just starts the whole chase scene of Chowder saying, I'm not your boyfriend.
And there's like a bajillion. Oh my god, I'm like looking at pictures.
Yeah.
And it looks so weird.
Yeah. Oh, and Chowder did get an apprentice for himself. And it's a kid. It's like a boy. I think it's a turtle boy in a box.
God, that's actually pretty fun.
I love it, and like I'm just like, oh my god, that show was I'm pretty sure the show was slightly an acid trip.
A little bit,
Yeah.
because once again, surrealism at its best. It's a really good show.
Yeah.
I highly recommend watching it. I used to watch with my dad, and like when I was an older teenager, so like we still had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great gags. And,
Oh, yeah.
like just good comedy in its animation, like you said.
And
Really good.
And I won't lie, Fan fiction.
Honestly, yeah, I low-key shipped Panini and Chowder.
Yeah. Even though it was slightly problematic, it was still
It
actually.
was very problematic.
It is. It is. But still, the
Yeah.
stories you can come up with.
Potential. But yeah, so that is a little bit of a taste of our childhood animated shows that, you know, we grew up with, that we really loved. We'll probably do more episodes on this.
Oh yeah,
So
I have like a whole list.
I highly recommend that y'all check these shows out. At least watch the openings because they're pretty fun.
Or listen to the openings.
Or just listening to them. Yeah, it's good music. I mean, Avatar has a really great soundtrack. I recommend that.
Danny Phantom's theme song.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, please list your favorite shows, like what had the most impact in your childhood and what, you know, still kind of remains with you today. I would
Yeah.
love to hear about it.
Yeah, and I especially would like to hear if it influenced you, to make your own stories as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for writers, artists, or anybody out there, we'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, and let's not try to bring any of the creators into this because we know especially one of them is a little interesting.
Yeah, we're talking about the stories.
Let's just talk about the stories.
Yeah.
Yay!
So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Closet Chat. I am Sunny.
I'm Rainy.
I bid y'all a good afternoon.
I bid you a good evening.
I bid y'all a good morning. What the fuck?
What?
Good night?
Yeah, it's supposed to come after evening, is it not?
Yeah, I said good morning. I goofed it up because it said good afternoon. I was trying to say evening and afternoon at the same time. Alright, start over. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Closet Chat. I'm Sunny.
I'm Rainy.
And I bid y'all a good afternoon.
I bid you a good evening.
I bid y'all a good night.
And I bid you a good morning.
Adios.
Adios.